This is the Stop Playing Podcast with Sham and Shaka. I'm Sham.
I'm Shaka. What's going on, Sham?
Not much, brother. Had a very long and productive day.
Yes, we both did. I like the way I sound right now because I have new toys.
He said toys.
Yeah. Now we have some new equipment. Sham helped me get out of the 19th century, I believe, in our Zooming endeavors, and helped me get into the 21st century where we belong. So hopefully I sound good. And you've also probably added some years back to my life because I was going to burn my vocal cords out because for no reason at all, I felt I had to yell in all the Zoom episodes prior to this. So now I don't feel that way. So listeners, I'm sure you're glad too. Like, yo, can somebody get this dude a microphone, please, so that he can calm down?
Yeah,
so,
you sound
Sam,
like WHUR now.
Well, I'm not trying to sound like Quiet Storm, not trying to sound extra smooth, but I'm sure the listeners will thank you for stopping me from yelling. So
I don't know if I've stopped you from yelling. We're only a few seconds in.
Yeah, now, guys, when I kirk out about something, that'll be different. But just yelling about every single thing, maybe this will tamp that down a little bit.
Yeah, this is the anti-polyp zone. No polyps on the vocal cords.
Exactly. But very happy about that. And
also, today, we did our photo shoot for the upcoming. We have some pending. We haven't seen them yet. Shout out to Jay Thornton Photography. You can find him on Instagram at Jay Thornton Photography. Yeah, he hooked us up today. We had a nice little photo shoot outside downtown DC. Well, not downtown, in Columbia Heights. And it was a beautiful morning. So I think we got some good photos in. We have our website forthcoming. So we're going to look through those and pick which ones we like. And that'll be coming soon.
Can't wait. Cameron likes us.
Cameron loves you, bro.
Hey. I don't know if it's a tight race between me loving myself and the camera. So
I think the race is not so tight.
Yeah. Just like this microphone, the sound of my own voice. See, all of this works as a perfect storm to have me sitting in the house forever. Nah, but it's all good. We're very excited though, guys. And as you can see in this third season, I mean, but with the help of this family, we are just building, and it's such a beautiful thing to just keep this thing going. So, Sham, in general, how's your week been?
My week has been okay, but in the effort in keeping this thing going, we must ask the family to share us with them.
Yes.
Help us build. So tell your friends, you can find us everywhere. Every podcast app available, we are there. They can check us out on Instagram and Facebook at the Stop Playing Podcast, and also at stop_playing_pod on Twitter, or they can email us at info@stopplayingpodcast.com.
Absolutely. And you guys have been doing a great job. More and more people are interacting with us on every platform. We love it, but continue to, if you guys enjoy us, tell your friends, log on, subscribe, anything. Honestly, guys, I'll just say it like this, Sham, and I don't know if this is the professional way to say it, but I'll just say it. Any platform you hear us on, click the subscribe button. Period.
And also, for those of you that are listening on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, please give us reviews, because if we get the more reviews we get, the better placement we get on
That's right.
Apple.
Yeah, but we're having. I mean, it's been great. It really is a beautiful thing, and we've been interacting with other podcasts. We appreciate that interaction as well, and it's a big network of podcasts out here, and big family just growing and growing and growing. So subscribe when you can, and just buckle up. We're gonna take it to the next level. So we got a lot of things to get to. You ready to get to them?
Yup.
I mean, this first story is spectacular.
It is quite amazing.
Lay it out for us, please.
I wasn't even looking for it.
Yeah.
It just fell into my lap. So this is an article on blackenterprise.com about the first Black-owned stock exchange in U.S. history. And it is opening very, very soon. Now, I love that this is happening because, one, obviously, we want equality amongst all things, and the stock market is one of them.
Exactly.
And, a lot of people have said that they don't invest in the stock market or don't know how or things like that. And lately, with everyone wanting to support more minority businesses and such, this is a great way for minorities, one, specifically Black people, to learn about stocks and bonds and learn how to invest and then do it in a way that makes them feel comfortable as well.
Absolutely. And you touched on both the things. I couldn't have said it better. In the article that was talking about this, one of the founders was talking about how, he didn't say it this way. So this is my opinion at first. A lot of people say, oh, I want to invest in Black business. Since especially the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement and everything, everyone says, all right, invest in Black businesses, of course. And if you're talking about brick and mortar businesses, okay, patronize the stores, even online, that's fine. But what he was saying was, if you're trying to actually build wealth, only one Black-owned business has started from the ground up and emerged as an IPO on initial public offering on the stock market. And he didn't put in the article, but I'm pretty sure that's Radio One that he's talking about, Kathy Hughes, and now TV One. But the point being, that's where the money is. If you're talking about supporting Black businesses, you got to pool those resources together and then get them to a place where they can start going public and then go onto the stock market. And he used his time as an attorney, especially in the business world, for another firm to learn about the inner workings of the stock market and then partner with other Black business owners to open this exchange. So he laid it out very well. And look, like you said, it's opening up soon. I put myself on the email list. Like, as soon as you guys open up, give me the information so that I can do my due diligence and then get involved. And that's all you can ask for at this point.
Mm-hmm. It's excellent. And we joked about generational wealth in episode 58, I want to say.
That's right.
And this is the way to do it, folks. Black people, this is the way to garner some generational wealth. So when this happens, you guys, I mean, not that there's an excuse even right now to not know about this or even to learn, but you can take this opportunity right now to learn and then be ready when the first Black stock exchange opens.
That's right. And you're right. Look, guys, we don't want you guys out here thinking if somebody gave me $25,000 right now, I'd be very, very happy about it. But we don't want you guys out here thinking that's generational wealth, like Sham said. Okay? So go to this site and you'll understand why that was as funny as it was to us at that time.
So Shaka.
Yes, ma'am.
The West Coast has been buzzing.
Yes, it has.
And specifically in Oregon.
Yes. There have been protests since the George Floyd killing, which has been, now we're coming up on exactly 2 months, actually. It was May 25th when the George Floyd tape came out. And we're here on July 25th. The protesters in Portland for Black Lives Matter have been out there essentially, if not the day of, definitely that week. And it's been a continuous protest. Now, a few things have happened that have garnered national attention. Black Lives Matter started protesting there. Ted Wheeler, who is the mayor there, he's a Democratic mayor, he's a liberal. He was criticized heavily at first for allowing the police to tear gas the protesters and so on. He took a lot of criticism for that. But in general, philosophically, he's tried to put out there that he's in line with the protesters. because the protests have been ongoing, they've stormed or protested outside of buildings. There have been incidents, yes, of violence outside of a few buildings. The federal government and 45 himself, which we've alluded to when we were talking about some of the tactics he was pulling in DC, he being 45. He's employed them heavily out in Portland. So the big news is that federal troops and National Guardsmen were going out there. In general, Homeland Security troops were going out there. They were not designated, not wearing proper identification, masks, and so on, taking protesters off the street. So everything I was going ham about in DC, there were different tactics, but it was the same philosophy. This is a totalitarian approach to protesting that's happening in Portland. That is a significant story. But on top of that, though, there are also other protests happening in Portland, or I'll put it this way, other people joining the Black Lives Matter protests. I don't know if it was White Moms Matter. I know it was the moms in general. Sham, I don't know if you may have caught some other information on this, but in general, the NAACP president wrote an op-ed. So this is where we're coming at today in the Washington Post. And he's upset. ED, and I already forgotten his last name.
Mondane.
There it is. He's a little irritated, to say the least, that the presence of... So a white woman came to the protest and she flashed the media, flashed the guards. So that was the story. White Moms Matter, I believe, or I'm mischaracterizing it. But they came. They have usurped a little bit of the energy from the protest. So basically what he's saying is all these white liberals are coming in, and we talked about it, if not last episode, 2 episodes ago. Yeah, some white liberals come with some good intentions, maybe some not, but then they're making it about them. So I was talking about the tactics before. A lot of those tactics were used on white people, and that's why it became a story. And that's what the NAACP president is saying. So you saw a little bit of this story. I mean, what are your thoughts about that in general? And we've talked about white allies on this show. In general, we're at a moment now where we're trying to keep attention on Black Lives Matter. What exactly is the role here? And do you think he has a point?
Well, the wall of moms.
Wall of moms, thank you.
What you were trying. Yeah, hey, it can't with them all.
Thank you.
They believe that what they're doing is supporting and helping to best serve some Black community.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like that saying that I always mess up, cutting off your nose to spite your mouth. I always mess that up.
Oh man, you almost had it. You were 95% there. Cutting off your nose to spite your face. Go ahead.
Right. I said spite your mouth.
Yes, you said mouth. I was like, she almost got it.
Loosely related. It's like when you're trying to help to the point where you're taking away from what needs the help.
Right. Inadvertently.
Yeah. When people overstep. And I think this is exactly what this is.
Yeah. So you do believe he has a point?
He has a point. I don't know if it's... I feel like his point is that they're doing it purposely. Like they're intending to draw the attention away. I mean, that's what I get from it.
Yeah. To write an op-ed about it is a little...
Yeah,
like he's tilted about this. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that this is essentially what we've been asking for.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially Black lives aren't going to really matter unless white people think they do, which sucks.
Right. It's like Black lives matter to whom?
Right. It needs to matter to not just to us, but to everybody. Right. And this is their way of showing that they actually do, but it's just the execution that is wrong.
Well, and now
not even wrong, but it's just, appears bad.
Yeah, I think especially when you're talking about the woman flashing, then that adds sort of a circus element to it, takes away from the seriousness of it. So I definitely see his point there. Look, we can't have it both ways in the sense of the big thing when this movement kind of really took off was, okay, we're tired of white people saying that they support us but not really doing anything. Okay, well, a lot of white people are actually out here in the street. So when they get out here, for better or for worse, we know what country we live in. They're going to get the attention. It just is what it is. Now, you can make sure that you as a black person, we as black people, keep the focus on the message, but we can't act surprised or what have you when white people pay attention to what other white people are saying more so than they're paying attention to us. You're absolutely right. So
it actually cracks me up when that happens, especially, as I read the comments in a lot of the articles. Is I love seeing white people call other white people Karen.
Hey, real quick on that. Goodfellas, I mean, not only one of my favorite movies, but one of everybody's favorite movies. My friends and I mean, the way Henry Hill's wife in that is named Karen. And the way he be saying Karen in that movie, like, because she just does stupid stuff like all movie. And so he's like, you know what? I should freaking kill you, Karen. And we're like, yo, they were 30 years ahead of their time. Goodfellas came out in 1990. But anyway, that was definitely down the rabbit hole. But in all seriousness, the situation in Portland, one other thing I want to say about that before we move on is that the Portland mayor, I'm going to keep it real. He's in a tough spot. He was actually jeered heavily in front of the courthouse. And then he got up and said Black Lives Matter. It was cheered for like 2 seconds. And then he was tear gassed, Sham.
Jesus Christ.
He's getting it from both sides, Mayor Wheeler. And, a lot of people, again, did not like that he didn't, quote unquote, restrain the police from policing the protesters. But I guess he's in a rock and a hard place out there. So we'll see how it plays out. But again, the big news, for better or for worse, is that the federal government has taken an active role in policing the protests out there. So that's where we're at. Next story is going to be quick. And I know you always make fun of me for saying real quick.
Yeah, because it's not going to be quick. I don't know who you're lying to right now.
All right, go ahead and Tommy, you and listeners. I wanted to put this in because it's a throwback to one of our first episodes. Sham, when we first started the podcast, we were in the middle of the hearings for Justice Kavanaugh. And we've talked about on the show, alluded to it at least, that Justice Kavanaugh went to a school called Georgetown Prep, which is in a league of schools called the Independence League or Independence Athletic Conference. That's the athletic conference. But basically, it's an Ivy League. I would just call it what it is. It's an Ivy League of private schools in Washington, D.C. Yes, of which my high school is a part. So my high school is called St. Albans. Barron Trump goes to another one of these schools called St. Andrews. So it's about maybe 10 schools in this league. All right. The bottom line is this. Betsy DeVos, who we also have talked about recently, the Secretary of the Department of Education, she is being sued by the NAACP. So the NAACP has been busy, Shan. Both locally and nationally. Because she wants to make sure that funding for schools and in the light of the pandemic goes both to public and private schools, especially private schools like the school I went to, which I'll be perfectly frank, the school I went to and all schools like it, including St. Andrews, they do not need this money at all.
Yeah, schools like that have endowments.
Absolutely. I call them the Ivy League for a reason. Our schools have governing boards. They have trustees. They can do whatever they want. They don't. First of all, the whole debate about when school's going to open, the whole reason this has come to the forefront and why I bring up Barron Trump. Barron Trump has nothing to do with this. His school put out a letter this week saying we're going to go all distance learning all year. So all virtual learning. So there will be no in-person learning at his school. At the same time, where his father's like, everybody in public school needs to get back in school in the classroom right now. And that's the whole point. These schools do not need the money. They're private and they can do whatever they want to do. And they are, like you said, littered with endowments. They have governing boards. They have everything they need. The other thing that I didn't talk about on the podcast, but I'll just mention, is that some of them, not my school, thankfully, but some of them actually accepted relief funds for the pandemic. Millions of dollars that they did not need and didn't give it back. And I was too tilted about that at the time. All I'll say is those schools actually need to be investigated who took that money because they don't need it at all. The alumni of those schools are perfectly capable of filling those coffers.
Shoot. As much money as the parents pay for those kids to go to that school.
Exactly. Those schools. And again, y'all, I went there on a scholarship. Academic, by the way. So your boy is smart, as he likes to tout. So y'all probably like, yeah, we already knew that. Why don't you shut up? But I'm just reminding you guys, it wasn't athletic. It was academic. And what I'm telling y'all is that these schools have tuitions that rival colleges, big colleges. They don't need the money. It's ridiculous. And the fact that she's even trying to get money for them is ridiculous. All the more reason this woman needs to be out of office, just like her boss. Okay, that's it. Now, speaking of her boss, Sham, you ready to do a round robin on 45 real quick?
No, but you are.
I mean, we got always just remind the family that we're in the election season. So a couple round robin stories.
No.
A couple of election stories or just general stories. Michael Cohen, one of our favorite people. So Michael Cohen, we didn't even talk about this. Michael Cohen went to jail. We did talk about that. He got himself caught up, Sham, because he went to a restaurant with his wife. So he got out on coronavirus. He got out on coronavirus. He got a reprieve, basically. Then he went out, went to dinner, basically like hung out, violated, and he's apparently been very obstinate about the terms of his parole. He's been kind of going against his probation officer and stuff like that. So they threw him back in jail. So that's where he's been for like the last month. As of a couple of days ago, a judge overruled that and called that retaliation. So now Michael Cohen's back out. So he's back out on the initial reprieve he got for the coronavirus, I guess, relief so that they can make room for prisoners. So
wait, how is it retaliation if he violated his parole?
They're saying that his parole officer like had it out for him for political reasons or something like that.
Whatever.
It's a cover up. It's a cover up. It's a cover up.
So you've seen those memes going around about like how people are getting released from prison for coronavirus, but they're trying to make children go to school.
Yes, I have. And it is ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
You're going to let people out of jail and force kids into school. Yeah, that tells you all you need to know about what we're doing. A quick developing story. The British Open, the ambassador to the United Kingdom or to Ireland, Woody Johnson, who also is the owner of the New York Jets. He's been wrapped up in a bigger story, a bigger quote unquote scandal about how 45 was trying to steer the British Open to one of his golf courses, which tracks directly back to what we were talking about in We Do This All the Time, episode 52. This is the same type of tactic he was trying to do when he wanted the G7 to be at Doral at his golf course.
What better place in the world?
In the whole world. And this is exactly what he was trying to do with the British Open. He wanted to use his ambassador to talk to the authorities in Britain about having the British Open at one of his golf courses over there, which is blatantly illegal. The Emoluments Act, you can't steer business to your personal property as the president. You can't do it. And that's what we talked about before. So he's not going to get in trouble for this. I mean, he doesn't get in trouble for anything. But the offshoot of that was that Woody Johnson, who, again, is the owner of the New York Jets, was, as the story was unfolding, caught or at least accused of making racial slurs while he was talking about black people. One of the things was he was wondering why black people need a whole month to celebrate their history. And that's one of the quotes that was attributed to Woody Johnson. So
what a classy fellow.
Very classy fellow. So final story on 45. Chris Wallace, who's an anchor on Fox News, he had a sit-down interview with him last Sunday, basically peppering him, and he did pepper him on Fox News style on the coronavirus and the spread. And 45 told approximately 55 lies in that interview that the Washington Post counted. Basically, he was challenged on the spread of the virus, what he did or did not do to stop it. This interview was bad because Fox News, even though 45 has been shying away from them lately because even they can't run from his lies, this was supposed to be a puff piece and it turned into a disaster, basically. So this interview has been talked about all week. It lasted about maybe 30 minutes, but Chris Wallace really came after him, and it wasn't even on his agenda to come after him. But 45 was lying too much, Sam. I mean, you can't sit and say the sky's green and y'all sitting under the blue sky, and the man is a journalist. I mean, he has to attack that. So on the heels of stuff like that and on the coronavirus statistics, 45 hasn't completely canceled the convention because he can't personally do that. But the Republican convention in Florida the outside events have been completely canceled and things have been tamped down dramatically, put it that way. So that's a big deal because obviously the convention usually results in a boost in points. And as you have basically pointed out all election season and this season of the podcast, 45 is in desperate need of points in the polls, correct?
Yeah, but he might have gotten some help because Joe Biden out here just straight up lying this week.
I didn't even see that. You got something? Breaking news?
Yeah, when he said that that Donald Trump is the first racist president of the United States.
Oh God, I did see that, Sam. You know what? That might have been a Freudian slip. I didn't even want to put that on the. Can you expound on that real quick, please? Oh my God.
I mean, it's not much else to say. He basically just put that out there. And I'm like, bro, you lying. Like probably 80% of the past presidents were racist. What are you talking about?
The first racist president. I mean, this is one of those times, again, Uncle Joe, half the time I want to tell you not to do anything, but then you still have to remind people you're running for president. But then when you do something that's stupid. It's crazy.
And this is why he probably has not been saying anything and just letting Donald Trump lose instead of trying to win. Exactly.
Absolutely, exactly. Speaking of Florida, staying in Florida, so we're all 45, but staying in Florida, someone we've talked about, Andrew Gillum.
Spotlight on the Sunshine State.
Exactly. He has reemerged in a public interview as of this week. It's good to see him. And it was a very frank and candid interview. Now,
did you watch it? The whole thing?
I did not watch it. I read a transcript. And he was talking about really, if you want to boil it down, he said that everything that all the trouble he got into, especially in the hotel room and all that, was that was the ramification of him losing the election. And those were the last stages of his depression. That he was depressed, he lost the election. He didn't really directly address why he was in a room with a male prostitute. But at the same time, he was like, look, I definitely was, addicted to alcohol and what have you. And he basically went down a shame spiral is what he was saying. And he put a lot of pressure on himself and he took the loss very hard. Now, whether people choose to believe that or not, that's fine. But he was very personal and very open about it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter who believes it. And this is an example. And, in the Black community, especially Black men, they do not seek help for certain things. It's a stigma to go out and search for help. It's a stigma to even acknowledge that there may be a mental illness in which this, not a mental illness, but he talked about having depression.
Correct.
So kudos to him. And I don't know. And honestly, I don't know if it's because he did get caught in the hotel room that this happened. People can say, well, he might not have done it if it wasn't for that. Mm-hmm. But to have, even with that, to have the presence of mind to know that you were depressed and, as you stated, suffering from alcoholism, which he also states is a condition that his father also suffered, and to really just dig deep and realize what losing the race how it impacted his life, and to be able to sit back and acknowledge that is great. I mean, we all could have had a clue as to why, or, as to maybe why he might have been in that room or what could lead up to that. I think I even said it, man, he took it hard. You
Absolutely. Know what I'm saying? You said it at the time.
But the pressure that he put on himself, that he had let so many people down, and that he wasn't good enough, or he didn't feel like he did enough to win. That's a lot of weight to put on yourself.
Yeah. And
especially as a Black man.
Yeah. He said that. And, to your point, here's one thing I'll say. I'm not going to speculate on what caused him to do what he did. I will speculate on this. If he was the mayor of Florida, the governor of Florida would be in a lot better shape.
Absolutely, 100%. So
I'll take that speculation.
Because it damn sure couldn't be any worse.
Exactly. I'll take that speculation to the bank. So kudos to him for getting back and just getting out there. And his wife is still with him. He still has his family. So, hopefully we'll see Mr. Gillum back in the public forum, and we can go from there.
And you know what else, though? He looks good. He looks healthy.
Again, I read a transcript. So do you see you've seen recent footage?
Yeah, well, he posted it on his Instagram. He put the video on IGTV, and I'm not watching the video, but I see a still shot. He looks good. He looks healthy. He looks present.
That's good.
So whatever he did is working.
Excellent. Well, good. And we're going to wrap things up with sort of an interesting turn of events this week. So we'll start with a fake news story. And I hate to talk about or take a turn for 45, but it's ironic because that's all he does. So his press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, who we talked about, she's conducted a few press conferences this week, as we talked about. She does them. So that's fine. And at one of them, I forget the young lady's name, but one of the reporters, they had a back and forth. Okay. And the lady was wearing a mask. And the gist of it was that the lady was on a mic, and the thought at first was that at the end of it, because the exchange was contentious, that the reporter had called her a bitch. Okay. That's false. Now, Kayleigh McEnany didn't put this out there, so it's not like she put it out there that this happened. But right-wing outlets have put this out there and what have you. So they jumped on it, and then CNN and everyone else, because the lady worked for CNN and MSNBC, they came out and immediately debunked it.
Yeah, everybody's debunking it except for Fox News.
Exactly.
Because they were the ones that basically said that it happened.
The reason that this is even more interesting, it's more amped up, because then a real incident happened. So here are the names we know. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman from New York. She was walking up the steps of the Capitol to go about her daily congresswoman business. And is his first name Ted Yoho?
Mm-hmm.
An elderly congressman, Republican, was coming out of the building. And I guess, I don't know what got into him that day. Maybe he was already mad about something that he saw from her. But he accosted her on the steps and started arguing with her and accused her of things and this and that. Then at the end, they had an exchange, whether it was about legislation, what have you. This is all outside of. And then he walked away. And it's important to get it right. He called her a fucking bitch, point blank, as he was walking away.
Professional.
Exactly. Sham, as you said many times, when people lose the argument, then they go personal and then they go vulgar. Okay. So, especially men, especially when they feel they're powerful over women.
It's like he asked for her phone number and she said no.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that. So this gets out. This Bill steam. He gets on the floor the next day because he knows he gets on the floor of the House of Representatives because he knows this has gotten out. And he issues, Sam, what we talk about all the time? Non-apologies.
Mm-hmm.
It was a non-apology. He brings up the fact that he has a wife. He brings up the fact that he has daughters. And he says that his language gets a little rough sometimes. Doesn't really acknowledge what he said. But basically he's like, that's a tough break. Sometimes my language gets a little rough. And I'm paraphrasing. But I'm paraphrasing for a purpose because that's how worthless his non-apology was. The next day, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez comes back up and says, and gives a 10-minute speech on the floor. She had an hour, so she gave back 50 minutes of her time. Sham, did you hear the speech?
I read the transcript, kind of like you.
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah. About the last story. Yeah. This one I saw on video. And, I'll put it this way. Obviously, I don't have any children. I can't speculate what it's like to be a woman or have a daughter. But this was very poignant and very powerful. What did you feel about even reading the transcript, what she said?
I feel that she was on point. I mean, a lot of times when people do something wrong, they try to qualify it or disqualify it by saying, oh, well, I'm a member of my church. I have a daughter. I volunteer in the community. So that was just, I said that because sometimes I can be a little, no, you don't get to disqualify the fact that you called her disgusting. Right. And you called her a fucking bitch or whatever
That's exactly what he said. Yeah.
But I like that she walked up there with shoulders back, voice clear, and he also called her crazy and out of her mind, and also called her dangerous. Yep. All of those things. Now, it's interesting to me because I'm going to compare this to my real life, when in my dating life, when I date guys who have daughters, and they do things that they would never want any guy to do to their daughter. Like, they're disrespectful sometimes. They cheat. They talk to you like you're trash, blah, 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 but have a whole daughter at home. And I even said this to one of my exes. I said, one of these days your daughter is going to come to you and tell you that some guy had treated you the way that you treat me sometimes. How would that make you feel? And this is what I think about when I read this. You made a point to say that you had a daughter at home. What if your daughter came to you one day and said, Dad, this is what this guy that I work with said to me? He'd be ready to throw a truck or turn over a truck
Yeah. And she said her father passed away. So obviously he wasn't around to see this. Her mother's still alive, but she was like, she owed it to them, her mother being alive, her father's memory, and the way they raised her to not put up with this. Sham, actually, it's interesting you brought this up. This kind of takes me back to Walking Like a Duck, episode number 11. Mm-hmm. Where you told a story about what was said to you at your other job in the store. And, you know, yeah, you probably weren't even thinking about that just now. I don't know. But the point being, towards the end of that discussion, we were talking about it. And that guy who said that to you in that store, again, that's our 11th episode, guys. So this is how long it was ago. We said he probably was married and probably had daughters or what have you. Mm-hmm. Even at that point, maybe even a granddaughter your age. And one of the things you just pointed out that she said, thank you for pointing out, and she thanked him. She said, thank you, Congressman Yoho, for making the point inadvertently, was one of our favorite words this episode, inadvertently making the point that you can be a powerful man and project this image of sort of valuing women and what have you, and all the while be the most disgusting and vile and disrespectful towards women and use your supposed loved ones as a shield for your behavior. And I think that brought the point home. It was a very poignant watch. So, you know, in short, it was a big week in the sense that she didn't grandstand. She could have had an hour. She could have stayed up there for an hour and talked about that. And she said, I'm going to give back 50 minutes of my time. I said my point, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So,
also, he was removed from the board of this Christian charity he was a part of because of that.
He must not know who the Speaker of the House is, because she don't like AOC that much, but she's not gonna stand for that.
Oh no, she's not gonna stand for anybody being misogynistic.
That's right. She deals with the chief of the misogynist every day and carries him, so she's not gonna let any of his underlings get away with that. But unless you have anything else, that's all political news we have for tape. That was a great story for AOC to take control of that. So
yeah, powerful. So you ready to get in some entertainment?
Yes, ma'am. What we got? A follow up?
Yeah, we got a bit of a follow up. Now, so we talked about Nicholas Cannon last week.
Why you like saying that?
Well, somebody said that on Wild and Out, and it kind of stuck in my head. Mm-hmm. I can't even remember which comedian it was, but Nicholas Cannon. We talked about him making the anti-Semitic comments on his podcast, Cannon's Class, about a week and a half ago.
Right.
Basically, Viacom, instantly, threw him away.
Correct.
And I mentioned last week that he tried to get in touch with the head of Viacom, and she ignored him. Mm-hmm. Now they're saying he never tried to get in touch with them.
So they're denying his attempt.
They're denying the attempt. It was like, wow. We have no record of him ever trying to get in touch. So I didn't know this at the time, but family, most of you probably know he's the host of The Masked Singer. Fox made an announcement that basically said, we're not going to fire him. Actually, we are not, they didn't say the words backing him, but I mean, read between the lines, folks.
Yeah.
Supporting him.
We're not firing him.
We're not firing him.
When we say so definitively that we're not firing him, we're backing him.
Right.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of backed off of the whole I demand to have my show and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, he calmed down.
He's calmed down a lot.
as we suggested he should.
Yeah. I mean, I ain't trying to say he was listening to us, but right. I mean, he was listening to us.
Hey, Nick, keep listening to us. Matter of fact, give us a call. Let's talk. Calm down.
And he's actually gone kind of introspective as well. He started talking about how he battles with himself daily over how much to say, what role to play. who exactly he wants to be. He spends a lot of time like kind of thinking about the comments he wants to make. And so,
I mean, good for him for at least, trying to take some perspective right now. You don't want to it's an emotional situation and there's business involved too. So it sounds like he's at least trying to say, look, I'm angry, I'm upset or what have you. But at the same time, there are real world business implications to my decisions right now.
Right.
And as we will get to in a second, and Sham, as I'm talking, maybe we might swap a story, because I think what you just said about Nick Cannon is something that someone else may benefit from. So maybe we might swap. And not that we're wrapping this up, I'm just saying.
I mean, you didn't have to say it. You could have just transitioned into the next one.
Well, I know if we've done with that. So now, yeah, I mean,
Jeez.
Hey guys, I'm a little.
You just out here fifth walling it.
I'm geeking because I got the microphone in my hand, so that's one of my toys. But look, Nick Cannon is doing what the subject of our next story should do. So, Sham, whatever perspective you want to start it from, whether it be the wife or the husband. Can you lay this next story out for us? Because this has been unfolding all week.
Okay, so who we're talking about is Kim Kardashian and her husband. And I will finally say his name, Kanye West.
Is that your first time actually saying his name on this podcast?
It is absolutely the first time.
Wow.
Because I've been on the no Kanye train for years. Like many years. I realized very early that I did not like this man. I mean, obviously I don't know him personally, but I realized very early that there was something very off about this man and I did not like him. Mm-hmm. But that's neither here nor there. So Kim Kardashian and Kanye West have been in the news this week for multiple reasons. One, so last week, after we recorded our last podcast on a Saturday, that Sunday, Kanye had a rally in, was it South Carolina?
Yes.
A presidential candidate rally for a presidential campaign that he hasn't even registered for. But anyway.
Yeah.
So he said a lot of things. He talked about how Harriet Tubman didn't free slaves. All she did was take them out of town or something. I don't know, something crazy like that. But the meat of the story that involves Kim is that he talked about how he didn't want North, their oldest child, who was 7 years old, and that he wanted to abort North. And that Kim is probably very upset with him for saying it, but that was how he felt at the time. He kind of went off. His presidential rally was not a rally. It was a rant. It was a rant. So the Kardashian family got wind of it. Obviously, they weren't too happy. It surfaced pretty much the next day, or if not the day after, that there have been discussions about divorce. Mm-hmm. Then right after that, Kim and Chris, I think they flew to Wyoming, which is where Kanye likes to hang out. He has a house there. That's where he kind of does all his work, music wise. And they tried to have him admitted to a mental health facility because he does have bipolar disorder. And then he went on a Twitter rant saying that they were trying to take him away and they don't love him and all of this stuff. At this point, Kim is just beyond herself. Yeah.
So she had to go public.
And did you read what she wrote? It was a very lovely and endearing way to describe what it's like to be married to or in a relationship with somebody who is bipolar. I mean, it was touching, very poignant. And then following that, Kanye went on another rant.
Yes, he did.
Saying that Kim cheated on him with Meek Mill 2 years ago at the Waldorf Astoria, which wasn't even the hotel they were at. Which people were like, okay, Kanye, you're losing your mind.
Okay, you're breaking news to me. I knew about the Meek Mill thing, but the details I didn't know. I didn't know if he got it right or wrong. It was another
hotel that they were actually at. And it was about, they were discussing prison reform. You have to be living under a rock right now if you don't know that Kim Kardashian has been on her prison reform game for at least a year and a half now. If not more.
He put prison reform in quotes as if it was
a lie.
A ruse for them to get together.
And if you know anything about Meek Mill, prison reform has certainly been his platform since he was imprisoned for a very long time for a small violation. And as soon as he came out, what was it? Robert Kraft, Jay-Z, he has surrounded himself with folks who are about that prison reform life.
As soon as he came out, prison reform is what got him out of prison.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He was in prison himself for the minor. So basically, prison reform is him, his platform. Yes. So it wouldn't be a surprise or unlikely that he and someone like Kim Kardashian would have a meeting to discuss things that they could do together. Or maybe she was trying to pick his brain because at that time this was probably 2018. At that time, she was just really getting into the meat of helping people get released from prison who had been in there for a long time for nonviolent crimes. So Kanye professed that prison reform is in quotation marks and he knows she cheated on him with Meek Mill. So now the divorce rumors are popping up all over again, and that they had spoken about it in the past.
So do you think they're going to get divorced? I mean, just initial take.
Knowing what I know about Kim, because I do watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, I don't think that if they do, it will be something that she would pursue.
Okay.
I think that if they do, it will be something that Kanye will pursue. And whether or not it will be of sound mind or not, who knows?
So, in other words, this is, if nothing else, even if she is legitimately thinking about it, more so will end up just being, hey, a wake-up call to him. A couple things to kind of add on to what you just laid out. As we talked about, Kim Kardashian, not only, this isn't just some celebrity cause or cause celebre, as it's called. She was legitimately, and is still, to my knowledge, right, pursuing a law degree or trying to, So this is an active, official pursuit, prison reform. Okay, so to your point about her, trying to learn more about it. I mean, it's not just a hobby. This is what she was doing. So whether it's Meek Mill or anybody else, this is why she was pursuing this. Now, the thing about Harriet Tubman, I just want to make sure that our listeners, most of them have heard the quote, but I just want to get drilled down to the meat of it. He said, Harriet Tubman freed slaves so that they could then become slaves for other white people, which is ridiculous. Bipolar or not, Kanye. The thing about Kanye that I've said on the show in the past, and I'll say right now, I am not passing judgment on someone who's bipolar for being bipolar. You cannot control that. Kanye strikes me as someone, until I'm proven otherwise, I will continue to say this about him, who does not seek the help that he knows he needs. And that's it. And the other reason I brought up Kim Kardashian's sort of law pursuits is because, to your point, her statement was spectacular, in my opinion. It was very poignant. It was very emotional. It was very, I think it was, she relayed the point of how much she cared about him. But at the same time, she got the point across that this doesn't stop unless Kanye himself takes responsibility for it. And she didn't even have to say it in that harsh term. She said, you cannot, if anyone has dealt with someone who's bipolar, you know that unless that person is a child legally, age-wise, you cannot commit them. You cannot physically do anything with them or get them help unless they want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And she made a point to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad she said it.
She found that out the hard way.
Exactly. Because basically what she's saying is, he's a grown man. We have children. This is even why I'm even brought to this point, because he said that about our daughter. But the point is, I can't make Kanye get help. I can't help him through this. He has to take the first step, and then I can come in and help him. But if he resists it or if he opposes it, there's nothing I can do. And she said that in the middle of a very caring statement. And you could tell she's going to law school and all that, because that was a very, very carefully crafted and worded statement. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying in a good way. It was just, she did an excellent job of relaying her point of how much she cared about him, but also assigning him the proper level of personal responsibility that I think he needs to take.
You know, and it was good.
Yeah.
Because I was on Twitter and I was seeing the responses of people. People were like, look, I don't like her. I ain't never liked that trash family. But that statement, I mean, people who hate her
yes,
were like giving her props for the statement that she made. Now, I just see her being the type that will just keep trying and trying and trying until she just gets fed up with trying. That's what I mean by the divorce.
Oh no, I agree with you. And she don't want her family to be a mess. I mean, I mean, Sham, I didn't even realize I ain't kept count. They have 4 children.
Yeah.
She don't want, I mean, she does not want her family to be a mess behind this. She would like to fix this. Mm-hmm. And even if that statement didn't take time, which again would be a credit to her either way, it looked like it took time to make. And it looked like she knew exactly what she was doing when she put that out. So kudos to her. Look, I don't want anything bad to happen to Kanye. I think he's musically very talented. I think he's a smart person in general when he acts right. But the last thing I'll say on this, I haven't really liked him either as much as you can not like or like someone that you don't know. People say, oh, you know, he's been different since his mom passed away. And I understand that. But he's not the first person in the world whose mom passed away. If we want to say he's bipolar, I understand that. I don't like people who make excuses for Kanye. That's all I'm going to say. I don't like excuses. Bipolar, that's a reason and a legitimate one. And I want him to get help because he needs to get it. But let's not make excuses for bad behavior. A person could be bipolar and still be a bad person. He's sounding like a bad person right now. So that's all I'm going to say. Other than that, that's deep, right? You want to go to something fun?
So deep.
Yeah. Let's go to something fun. Saw this next story and I was happy.
Really? You were?
Yeah, we talked about it. I mean, we haven't talked about this specific story, but I mean, the show in general, we got a Friends reunion possibly on the horizon.
My sandwich.
and the actor who said those words, David Schwimmer, said Ross's words about his sandwich. He was the one who gave an interview, and the crux of it was that he laid out, he had gone on Fallon and kind of alluded to it before, but this interview with the LA Times really lays out more detail earlier this week that there will be a Friends reunion. They were actually planning to tape it, and it was going to be taped in March. So obviously right when the pandemic hit, they put the freeze on it, but it was a go. It was greenlit. Everybody had agreed. Everybody was going to come back and do it. So now they're trying to decide. They're doing a kind of an initial round of testing for COVID. And if everybody passes that, then they're going to like go to the studio, do one more. And then he said they're going to go. And if people don't feel comfortable, then they'll kind of take a step back and reevaluate. But the point is, everyone wants to do it, which is good.
Yeah.
So
they're thinking about March. I mean, not March. I'm sorry, August.
August. Yeah, that's what he said.
Back and trying to record.
Yeah. So I was happy about that. What you think about that?
I think it'll be fun. I mean, I was excited about the Will and Grace reboot, and that worked out. So, I mean, I think this could probably work out. I want them, though, to bring back Ben, like the actual actors who played Ben. I mean, now they're adults, so
you're talking about the baby,
you wouldn't need the twins.
Yeah,
but you only need
his
one
son
of them.
would be like a teenager now. Yeah, right.
I know the show ended in 2004, so
Right.
Ben was probably about 8.
Like, even that old? Oh yeah, you're right. Because Ben was born like at the end of the first season, right?
Yeah,
you're right.
He's probably about 8 or 9, so he would be a whole adult.
he'd be like
25.
He'd be like writing this thing. Well, no, I think he'd be in college. I think he'd be like graduating college. He'd be like writing this thesis, or distance learning.
He'd be like 24, 25 by now.
You think so?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Friends ended in what?
2004.
16 years ago. Oh yeah. Yikes. Yeah. Sorry. Your math was cooking to mine. Wow. Ben would have a whole job and all that and have to move back home. With Susan and her lesbian wife.
Was it Christine? No,
yeah,
was it Christine?
No, I don't think it was Christine.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I forget it. Right.
But yeah, and Emma would be like a teenager. Now that would be interesting because Emma would be like 15 or 16.
Ross and Rachel still married?
Well, no, they weren't married. Remember?
Yeah, but you're right. They weren't married at the end, but I mean, they got back together. So
yeah, they got back together. So hopefully they did get married. But wouldn't it be a great twist if they broke up again?
So he said on Fallon, he was like, he being David Schwimmer was like, for the record, David Schwimmer, believed they were on a break.
They were on a break.
Yeah, I mean, they were. Yeah, Rachel need to calm down. But anyway, so I'm excited about this. That's a show that, it left it open. Like, we could do a reunion and it'd be fine. And we could do a one-time reunion, just checking on everybody. It'll be fine. And then we can move on. So I think it'll be good. Hopefully they'll get it together, and hopefully we'll see it in August. Mm-hmm. Now, I wouldn't call this a reunion, but our next story, Sham, I'll give you the smoke for this one. What do you think? Actually, I put this on the outline on purpose because I did not know which way you would go on this. So I'll lay it out and see if you want to bring the smoke. The basic facts are Taraji Henson from DC. I don't say that enough. You've mentioned it, but I don't say that enough. She went on an interview earlier this week and she has confirmed that there will be a spinoff for Empire, and it's already been greenlit. I didn't really get any details on like when shooting starts, what it's about, the characters. All I know is she definitely put the flag in the ground and said there will be a spinoff. Fox has already greenlit this. So that's all I know.
I mean, first off, I don't think anybody knows when they'll begin shooting anything. Mm-hmm. So yes, Taraji P. Henson has signed a production deal with Fox. Mm-hmm. It's a 2-year deal. And Danny Strong, who co-created Empire with Lee Daniels and also was one of the stars of my favorite show ever in life, Gilmore Girls, mm-hmm. Will be producing or co-writing the series. And so basically it's just about Cookie and what she does next, which is fine because the best thing about Empire has always been Cookie. Wow. So I don't mind Taraji having a Cookie spinoff and seeing what she's out here doing.
So I don't even think that's a hot take. Is that sort of the agree? So I need to ask you a couple questions that I haven't even asked you off the show. Did you watch Empire all the way through to its conclusion? In
its entirety.
Okay. So you watched everything, even post Smollett fallout and all that. Mm-hmm. All right. We didn't even talk about it off the show, on the show. How do you think it ended?
It ended terribly because they had to rush the ending.
And they had to kind of basically piece together some things and just cobble it together?
Because of COVID. Yeah.
Okay.
There were supposed to be, I think, 2 or 3 more episodes left. And they just kind of the ending made no sense whatsoever. And you can tell that was never intended to be the ending. It was very unsatisfying.
Okay. So they clearly, does the spinoff make sense in the context of where they left Cookie's character? Like
that part, I don't know, because if I remember correctly, she and Lucius got back together. So I can't see a spinoff without Terrence Howard unless they broke up or something.
Or look, kill him in the first episode.
Right.
Like in the first scene or something. But actually you've kind of answered the question in the sense that she's alive, she's whole, she's not like for example, all right, let's take it to another show we've talked about, where if they would have come out and say, oh, Tasha's going to get her own spinoff from Power, which she kind of did, but she's in prison. So it's like, unless it starts in prison, like, how does that make sense? What you're saying is, absent of the Terrence Howard question, there aren't any lingering, overarching questions where it's like, what are you guys talking about? Like, they left the door open in that sense, correct?
I suppose. They said they don't even know if any of the characters from the original show will even be on there.
Wow. Yeah.
And I mean, looks like the kid who played her son Hakeem might be in jail. So
wow. 2-year deal though. I mean, good for her. Hey, lock that bag up during the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? So I hear on that. But you will watch?
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'm here for Taraji Henson. So
me too. All the time.
I will see what it's all about. Support.
I like her. I mean, she's from DC. How can I not like her? All right. Well, Sam, I mean, all these entertainment stories are all well and good, but what was the biggest entertainment story of the week?
Oh, Wednesday. Yeah. So the Verzuz between DMX and Snoop Deal double.
So we previewed this. You brought it up last week or last episode, and we both laid out our expectations, our desires. I'll speak for myself. My expectations and desires were surpassed. This
Absolutely.
was
Absolutely. Yeah. It was the best Verzuz yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, obviously, due to COVID, a lot of people did their Verzuz on Zoom and, cross country, however they did it. I think, knowing what we know now about the pandemic, that idea kind of shifted a little because DMX and Snoop were in the same studio. They had one DJ that did both their playlists. And it was like watching a show, like a concert. It was dope. It was like what Teddy Riley had kind of intended.
Exactly.
But was executed horribly. I
mean, so many good things came out of this show. I don't even know where to start. Like, you keep going. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around how good I felt about this.
I mean, it was just awesome. The first round, Snoop went first and then DMX would follow. And then they took a little intermission and they came back and DMX went first and Snoop would follow. I think the biggest thing for me, and we talked about this earlier, was the admiration that you could see that DMX had for Snoop. It was so awesome. Okay, legend for legend, we're both here, but I'm looking at you like, bro, I'm a little legend compared to what you are. You know what I mean? And it was really nice. First of all, it was nice to see DMX healthy.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. He looks mentally in a very good place.
And you can tell he ain't smoking no more because you see that belly he had?
Okay, you keep going.
folks doing cocaine don't look like they got dad bellies like that.
Yeah, I think we can safely say he's no longer on cocaine.
Which is awesome. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just it was a good night. And it felt good to see them just out there. The music was good. The vibe was good. I mean, it was entertaining. humorous at times.
Yes.
Serious at times when they spoke about the songs, especially when DMX introduced Slippin', and why he had written that. They both did a nice little tribute section where Snoop played Laylo with Nate Dogg, R.I.P. And then DMX followed with Come Back in One Piece featuring Aaliyah, R.I.P.
Yeah.
So it was just really well thought out and organized. It was just wonderful. The vibe was so good. Like just hearing those songs again and getting amped and being like, oh, man, it was just great.
So, couple of good things, different things. Both of them in the studio. Excellent decision. Both of them at the same place at the same time. Them being together and kind of feeding off each other. Everything you just said, that added to the positive energy. It added to the mutual respect and admiration that you can tell that they have for each other. The fact that they were in the same room and able to convey that to each other in real time, that came across. And it added to sort of the whole, I think the audience, you and I of the same generation, where we remember, man, like, you think about it now, back listening to hip hop in the 90s, and it was like, it was a big deal to have East Coast, quote unquote, and West Coast rappers like in the same room doing stuff like that. Like that would be almost unheard of, or it would have been equivalent to like the G7 to have something like that happen. That's how serious it was. And DMX, he just seemed to be in a good mental place. Look, Sham, all right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the hilarity, the comments. So as Sham talked about, DMX, he's let himself go physically. Let's just call it what it is. So he's out of shape. Snoop, on the other hand, has always had just obscene skinniness. Like it's people, he eats well, whatever. Snoop is like absurdly skinny. It's ridiculous. Sham, just independent of all the songs, independent of all the humor, the best thing that DMX said that night was, Snoop, if you put us together, you and I look like the number 10.
No lies detected.
No lies detected at all. You saw the comments just go up the Instagram feed like crazy. Everybody was doing so that was awesome.
It was one point where like I forgot the song that DMX played, but Snoop was like, dang, man, I forgot about that, but that joint was hot. Shoot, I'm gonna have to reach into my bag to get something after that. He's like, yeah, you reaching in bags. I'm trying to reach in niggas' pockets.
That was great. Even if DMX was just indulging us, the fact that he said on the thing that, oh, well, I got Get At Me Dog from the fact that I saw you, Snoop, at a club, like randomly. And when I was first starting out, and that was my first time seeing you in person, and you were like, oh, yeah, Get At Me Dog. He was like, I got that from you. It's like, DMX, really? Okay. I don't think that's true, but the fact that you decided to say that on this special makes this awesome. But hey, if that's true, that's a great story.
Yeah, he literally revered. It was like he revered him and was just happy to be in the same room.
And that was surprising. You know what? Also, so even when we were previewing it, when we were talking about like Snoop and DMX and lyricism, and look, DMX came with it. It was good. We'll talk about who won and lost and whatever, in our opinion. But when they took their little break, Snoop broke out a freestyle. And Snoop showed you on this special why he has endured this long. Mm-hmm. Snoop is a natural entertainer. Whether he was doing his songs or when they were talking or whatever, Snoop lives to entertain people. Yes, and he was dancing. He was just having a good time. Snoop lives to entertain people. And they took a unscheduled break. Like DMX, basically, he had to go to the bathroom. That's fine.
Yeah, you say he had to.
Yeah, he had to train. I got to train to listen, which was hilarious. But Snoop then took that time. They played a couple songs, Charlie Wilson songs and stuff like that. And then Snoop starts breaking the freestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good. It was good freestyle. And it was just like, yo, Snoop, even me, like I guess this is a mea culpa on my part. Like even people like me who have grown up and heard Snoop this whole time, it's easy to forget that like Snoop can rap. Like this is not a fluke that he got where he is. I also like that he was like, when he played the Dre song, when he played like Number G thing and all that and like let a couple of verses go, he was like, yeah, I let the second verse go because I wrote that. That was great. I mean, all that stuff. This was a really, really good Verzuz, man. I really enjoyed it. And you've been watching more Verzuz than I have. But this is one that I knew I couldn't miss. And we previewed it, and I'm glad I watched it. I'm really glad.
It was awesome. I'm glad I watched it too. So I think we both share an opinion of who won. But before we reveal it, so there was an article on Billboard and they gave their scorecard.
Yes, they did.
They gave it to DMX.
They gave it to D.
12, 10, 4 ties.
Yeah, so it went over to 20. It went over to 20 in general, which I'm glad they did acknowledge that. And Billboard, and they weren't the only ones. I think Revolt also gave it to DMX. A couple other, like sort of the magazines, a lot of them gave it to DMX, but a lot of like just normal people watching it were like, what are y'all talking about?
Yeah. I mean, overall, Snoop kind of killed it. Yeah. And after it was over, Snoop tried to have a freestyle battle with DMX, and DMX was not. He was like, no, Snoop, you do it.
DMX was tired, man.
DMX was like, look, I ain't been up this late in a long time. Like,
yes.
I gotta go.
Now, DMX really looked like your uncle at the cookout who, like, it's time for him to go home. Like, he had a good time. He showed up. He did his thing. He reminded you why he's everybody's favorite uncle. And then it was time to go home. But DMX, I think he did prove your point, Sham, which is, he had, I mean, again, there was a reason he had the 5 consecutive #1 albums. He had a lot of hits. A lot of people mistakenly thought he shouldn't even be in the same like category. So that's false.
Yeah, if you know hip hop, that's absolutely false.
Yeah, he showed that. DMX did a great job, and his tracks were worthy, man. I mean, Snoop also showed he left tracks on the table. There were tracks he didn't even play, which is like whatever. But Snoop has so many tracks. Again, I mean, you already know I flipped out when 2 of America's Most Wanted came on. Like, flipped out. And he just pulled that out of his back pocket. Like, I'm going to just go ahead and throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he can do with, like, a lot of people, with a lot of things. So he's on so many collabos and all that. It's just crazy.
And I flipped out when DMX pulled out 4, 3, 2, 1.
I mean, I was begging for him to do it. 4, 3, 2, 1 is one of my favorite songs. I was
and
like, yo,
the one
when is he going to play
Master P, by the way. The one without Master P.
Look, the real version of 4, 3, 2, 1 is DMX, Method Man, Redman, Cannabis, and LL.
And LL.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
But no, it was very good, man. It was it lived up. Sham, my expectations were, please show up on time. They relatively showed up on time. They were fine. Mm-hmm. They were in the same room. No technical issues, really. I mean, I think there was like one blip, and even then it was so insignificant. And they both kirked out about it, so it wasn't them.
Was this while they were eating their chicken and drinking their Kool-Aid?
And look, they told us what they were going to do beforehand, so they were fine. But no, they both took it seriously in the sense that they both knew they wanted to give the people what they wanted. That's what I think everyone appreciated. Like, they both came on there and they both knew, like, this is all love. We both respect each other. DMX, like you said, really respects Snoop a lot. And Snoop, I mean, again, he showed a lot of love and respect back, man. It was great to see that. And they did it for us listeners.
It was Hakuna
awesome.
Matata all the way.
Yeah. They took it seriously. So that was great. Yeah. Man, I'm almost exhausted. I want to listen to it again. You know what, guys? We'll see you next week.
Yeah. I do want to watch it again. Like that's already on my agenda.
Yeah, I think I will. Yeah.
And before we move away from entertainment, we're gonna go ahead and pay some respects to Regis Philbin. Regis Philbin passed away yesterday at 88 years old. Many of you will know Regis Philbin from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yes.
I grew up knowing Regis Philbin from Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, which I used to watch with my great grandmother every morning. And even as a little girl, I fell in love with Regis because I just thought he had like a lot of charisma. He was real cool. He had that little snarky New York personality. Like the sarcasm was always on point. He had good comedic timing, even though I wouldn't necessarily consider him a comedian. Just like a lovable character.
He was definitely a performer. That and I think you put the nail on the head. He's not out here, doing a set on comedy, but he knew how to have comedic timing. He knew how to be a performer. And you're correct in that a lot of younger viewers know him from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I think the important thing to talk about when you talk about that, though, and you and I have talked about, there was reality TV. I mean, it's had sort of a strange arc. We talked about like Real World and stuff before, but we've also talked about Survivor. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and Survivor basically kicked off the second wave of reality TV in popularity.
Right.
It was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and Survivor, and then after that,
Big American Idol. Shortly after that,
American Idol was a summer show. So I remember it was a summer replacement show, and so you don't have shows like The Voice and The Sing and all that without these type of shows. And Regis Philbin sitting there doing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I remember when that show came back or started coming on, it was appointment television. It was just as important that you and I have talked about Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy and all that. And the whole big thing was, wow, we got a show that's just like that. Like the media was tripping out about it. And he was being interviewed himself like, man, you already have this daytime TV show. Because at that time, he was still on. At first, it was Regis and Kathy Lee. And then after Kathy Lee left, it was Regis and Kelly. Right. Now she got her own little whatever drama. But the point being, he was still on in the morning. So he was doing both.
Right.
And he was all over the place. And he was just saying, look, man, I'm glad to see game shows like this come back on. So, yeah, he has that one show, that daytime show that is spectacular, but he also is at the forefront of kicking off reality TV back to where it is in the forefront today. And also game shows. Because game shows, I mean, Price is Right was still coming on. Jeopardy's still coming on. Wheel of Fortune, that was at night. But they did not have prominence again until Who Wants to Be a Millionaire kicked off. And part of the reason was, to your point, his comedic timing in that show. He'd be like, so you want to phone a friend or what? Stuff like that. It's like, don't phone a friend yet. Don't use it. Don't use all your lifelines. Stuff like that.
Then he would have these little one-liners that would be like so funny. Did you know? Absolutely. So he's kind of like stepped off of TV in 2011 when he turned 80. Do you know he had a Guinness World Record for the most hours spent in front of a television camera? That's insane.
I did not know that. I did not know that. Well, what's that? What's the record?
I don't know, but I just saw that he had one. We'll get that to you on
next show. That's great, though. I didn't know that. That's actually, I feel like that's an incredible record. Most hours on camera, all the people who've been on camera and who want to be on camera consecutively. Yeah, that's a good record.
15,188 hours.
I mean,
his record was updated to more than that. So roughly around 16,746 and a half hours by 2011.
Please tell
I don't
me
think anybody's past that.
Please tell me they filmed him sleeping during that time. And I mean, okay, I'm not even going to get into what else they could have been filming, but okay. I did not know that. That's a weird record to have, but yeah, hopefully that won't be broken. But yeah, rest in power to him, man. He was a cool cat.
Yeah, real cool cat.
Yeah.
But he was 88 years old. He was going to turn 89 next month. So he had a long and fulfilled life. I didn't know he was in the Navy either. But that's not uncommon for men his age to have been in the armed service.
I think he may refer to, I've heard him refer to his service. So that's what's up.
You ready to get into some sports?
Always. Let's go. Let's do it. So now, not quite as old as Regis Philbin, but
they old.
We got some old men doing some old stuff, Sam. Look, this story, I don't know what to think about it yet. I'll just put it out there like that. Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. have agreed to an exhibition fight. They're going to go an 8-round exhibition. And I guess, I don't know. Honestly, that's all I know about it. I don't know why they're doing this. I guess maybe for charity, what have you. I know it's for a few million, but September 12th at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson. So what are your immediate thoughts on this?
My immediate thought was, now I understand why I've been seeing all these videos surface of Mike Tyson working out and getting into shape, because he looks amazing now. My second thought was, is Roy Jones Jr. crazy? Because why in the world? Because last we saw Roy Jones Jr., he was looking real crazy in the ring, not looking like he needs to fight ever again.
Last time I saw Roy Jones Jr., I was watching Matrix Reloaded the other day, and he was in that movie. Cussing out Bane. But in all seriousness, here's the 2 last dates of fights. Mike Tyson hasn't fought since losing to Kevin McBride on June 11th, 2005. So over 15 years ago. Roy Jones Jr., surprisingly, Sham, real quick, you want to give me a guess on a date, just a year on Roy Jones Jr. last fight in the ring?
2018.
Nice. Okay, you already probably knew.
And I remember because that's when he was looking crazy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I was like, why are you still fighting?
So Mike Tyson's 54, Roy Jones Jr. is 51. So
and
Roy
I didn't
Jones
realize they were that close in age. It seems like Mike
neither.
Tyson would be like so much older because
exactly.
I think he was just younger.
Like 2 different eras.
Yeah. Because he was really, really. Mike Tyson was called what, the Kid at one point? Yeah. Like he was, because he was fighting older heavyweights at like 19, 20 years old.
I mean, he won the title at what, 20, 21? Something like that?
Yeah.
He was a baby, basically.
Yeah.
When he won the title. And then Roy Jones Jr. got the prominence in late 90s. I remember watching him in college. So, yeah.
Pound for pound, the best fighter.
Exactly. So, look, it's an exhibition fight. So, we kind of, I take a little bit of comfort in that, in the sense that there are going to be some different rules. Anytime I think of exhibition, I think of Drago versus Apollo.
That didn't turn out so well.
Exactly. But I don't know. So that's a Rocky IV reference for all y'all younger listeners. But I don't know who's Drago is and who Apollo is. Drago to me would be Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. But Mike Tyson is the older one. So I don't know. I
feel like Mike Tyson is taking this a lot seriously than we are.
If I was Roy Jones Jr. and saw the tape of Mike Tyson training for this, I'd be like, I might need to train a little harder for this. because he seems like he's taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also too, like Mike Tyson has started a Legends Only league, or is in the process of forming a Legends Only league. So this is probably like a teaser to that.
So is Mike Tyson Ice Cube in the boxing world? He's big three in the boxing world?
Apparently.
Nice. Good for him. I didn't know that. You broke some news to me there too. That's what's up. So this is a preview for that. So hopefully nobody gets Apollo'd out here. Everybody can walk away and then we could go ahead and form the new league. Okay. I'm with it. I'm with it in that, Sham. I feel a lot better about it. Listeners, family, as we've come to realize sometimes, Sham will give me new information on stories and I feel a lot better about it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, I probably will try to watch that. If it's pay-per-view, forget about it. But I would still be interested in seeing, like you. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in seeing that as much as I'm interested in watching a car crash. So there's that.
Yeah. Unlike Verzuz, I don't have good expectations of this. Like I kind of don't want to see this. Yeah. Yeah. But all right, speaking of sports news, and again, Shame, you've said it. Sports news is odd right now. It's about to get a lot less odd though. We're actually moving into a world where I don't know though, Sam. You say thank God, and I say thank God too, but let's see how we feel in like 2 weeks. But at least this is an off the field, quote unquote, story that we can start with right now. So a little bit of a, what's the word you like to use? Kerfuffle? Would this be a kerfuffle at ESPN?
Clusterfuck.
Yeah, I like that one better.
Nougaty clusterfuck.
Yeah.
I stole that from Dane Cook. So Sage Steele from ESPN, she's an anchor. Very, very popular. And actually, she's been on there a while.
Yeah. Local product too. Local
product, yes. Mm-hmm. Worked her way up. Been on a few local shows. Yeah. So Sage Steele says that ESPN was going to air a special about was it a Black Lives Matter? But did it already air?
It yes, it did.
Okay, I missed it because I took a pause from ESPN for a while, except for The Last Dance, understandably. Yeah. So Sage Steele has made some allegations that two of her colleagues on ESPN, Elle Duncan and Michael Cleaves, went behind her back to exclude her from being featured on an on-air special about race because they complained that she wasn't, and I'm quoting, an authentic voice for the Black community due to her past criticisms of Colin Kaepernick and anthem protests. Now, look, I sent this to you in a rage because I said, Elle Duncan, nor Michael Cleaves, I should say, who told them that they could be the authority on who can represent or be an authentic voice for the Black community? And secondly, I said this and I stand by it. Elle Duncan is very close to passing the paper bag test. So my thing is like, you don't get to tell nobody about who's Black enough to do anything. So what do you think about this?
I'll pick up right where you left off. I never trust anybody who tries to tell other people who's Black enough to do what and what their authority is on that subject. Any Black person who tries to stand on a table in the middle of the room and tell everybody else who's Black enough to do this or that, that person immediately loses credibility with me. Okay? That's the dumbest thing ever, number one. Number two, this story is messy, though. I did like Elle Duncan before this in general on SportsCenter. I thought she was cool. I liked her approach, whatever, relatively young, what have you. But if there's any truth to this, I mean, she's got to go, because how are you going to go into a meeting with producers and intentionally ice another Black woman off of a show because you don't disagree with her view, or you don't agree with her views, and then say she's not Black enough? And you're going to say this to white people? You look dumb.
And both of them are biracial.
Exactly. You look dumb. You look so stupid. You're going to tell just so we can get this straight. Yes, both of them biracial. So you look even more dumb on top of that. But just so we get this straight, you're going to go into a room full of white people and be like, I don't think this other Black person should be involved in this discussion about race because she's not Black enough. And then them say, oh, okay, well, glad we got your opinion. We're going to leave her off. Like, L. Duncan, when does the mind rebel against that scenario? Like, you look so stupid. If that's true, again, I want to say if that's true at the end, because she didn't outright deny it, Sham.
No, neither one of them did.
Yeah, she and Michael Eaves basically put out a blanket statement saying we regret that everyone wasn't involved. That could have been involved. We couldn't get all the voices in or something like that. It was a very vague statement. To me, that
statement ain't vague at all, because if you didn't do it, you'd be screaming at the mountaintop that you didn't do it.
You and I have talked about that. When there are types of denials, right? Mm-hmm. You got to make a straight denial when you're accused of something terrible. And her denial wasn't quite strong enough for me. First of all, don't make a joint statement. You need to make an independent statement, because you as a biracial Black woman, another biracial Black woman is, and I know I'm kind of throwing oxymorons and all that redundancies on top of themselves, but the point being, she's accusing you of something. You need to make an independent statement, independent of Michael Eaves. Forget who produced the show. So that's my immediate problem. But that being said, it hasn't been proven. I really hope this isn't true, and I just hope she's mishandling her messaging. But if it is true, she's got to go. She being L. Duncan.
I think it's absolutely true, because she didn't deny it. Yeah, ESPN denies it, but
well, they gotta deny it, because I mean, you can't be a party to this.
Yeah, but that's not a denial, nor is it an apology. It to me, it looks very fishy. And honestly, I didn't even realize L. Duncan was Black.
I mean, she by the look of her, she would look.
She looks like more Hispanic
Latina or something. Yeah. I
had no idea she was Black.
Yeah, but either way, she or anybody else. Again, I've said it on the show in jest, but I'm totally serious. You can't throw me out of a Black organization because my name's Rashaka. By the same token, I also can't, because my name's Rashaka and because I'm Black or what have you, be the authority on what Black people think and who's Black and who's not. Nobody is. Period. No one is. Nobody is. And especially to go into a room, I just, Shannon, that actually boils my blood the more I think about it. You cannot go into a room full of white people and tell them who you think is Black and who's not. That's
and also, too, the reason that they gave, because of her views on Colin Kaepernick and the kneeling for national anthem, there are a lot of Black people that didn't agree with that.
Yeah.
So having someone who aligns with those people is showing proper representation of all the opinions about the issue.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's just crazy to me. And Sage Steele is solid. And I've liked her ever since she joined ESPN. And that's unfortunate that she would have to go through that if it's indeed true.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, I wanted to make sure I made my position sound, because a lot of things, I don't like Sage Steele for a lot of stuff. But independent of that, I'm not even going to go into that. She does not deserve this type of treatment, period. And one thing I do like about Sage Steele, she's smart and she's capable and she's an excellent I don't like a lot of stuff she's done or said or what have you, and I disagree with her on views. But no, this is absurd if that happened.
When I say she's solid, I mean she's a solid journalist. She's solid at her job.
Definitely.
So,
yeah. So hopefully this gets cleaned up and this isn't as messy as it looks. Because it looks messy. Yeah. Looks messy.
Moving on to the NBA.
So, okay. We'll get through the nuts and bolts. NBA is going on schedule. Their quote unquote preseason, which basically in the equivalent to that is the scrimmages. The scrimmages started in earnest midweek this week. So my Wizards lost to Denver. I mean, whatever. We shouldn't even be in the bubble. Let's just keep that straight. Family, Stop Playing Podcast family, I want y'all to know right now. If the Wizards somehow, some way advance and win the NBA finals, which will not happen, but I want y'all to have me on record right now. We did not deserve to be in this bubble, in this tournament right now.
So I don't know if you noticed this, but I came for LeBreeze.
I did. And you said it specifically. And did you get the heat that you thought you might get?
I got no heat. So maybe people agreed with me.
I know, right? That's the scary part. If that tree drops in the woods and nobody says nothing. So explain to the family what we're talking about.
So the Bleacher Report reported via Instagram, and this is a quote that came from LeBron James. Can't wait, and it's just a scrimmage. Not to me, though. Championship mindset all the time. So I said, yeah, a 3-6 mindset.
Right.
Sorry. Not our GOAT. Is this your king?
Right. Look, every time we've done it on this show, I've done it plenty of times. Every time LeBron James says something like, I don't do anything unless I can win, or I have a championship mindset. It's like, no, you don't. if that was the case, you would quit playing basketball against the Golden State Warriors. Like, you keep losing. Stop. But look, that's disrespectful though. LeBron James is still singularly, until proven otherwise, right now, right? He's nominally the best player in the world. Is that still correct?
Correct to who?
the masses. I don't know. Not you.
I mean,
you're like, I guess. You see, this is the problem right now. Are we disrespecting LeBron James right now as we speak?
I mean, I'm not picking him first. He don't play no defense.
Who's first? Kawhi? You going Kawhi? You going Kawhi? All right. Kawhi's not bad. Actually, heard the other day, Colin Cowherd legitimately was like, we should be talking about Kawhi as the best player ever right now, which that's a Colin Cowherd hot take.
Yeah, that's what he does though.
Yeah, he's choosing the angle of jumping from team to team and like winning championships. And he was like, if he wins with the Clippers, like put it in the bank or whatever. Yeah. Which that's a unique argument that Kawhi could come to the table with and like get some traction. But I mean, stop.
I mean, it's the same thing if Bron does it.
Well, the difference is Kawhi's record is way better in the finals.
He's 2-0.
Yeah, his winning percentage in the finals is like stupid better.
Or no, 2-1 because
2-1.
He was on the team that lost on the team to Miami.
Exactly. Yeah. The Ray Allen shot. Mm-hmm. So if he won this year, he'd be 75%. Yeah, LeBreeze is like in the 30s.
3 for 6.
In the low 30s.
3 out of 9.
Yeah. It's a bad look.
33.333333333.
He's got to knock. Stop giving the family math that they don't need. That's hate and disrespectful to LeBron James.
Man, I don't care.
But anyway, look, here's what I will say about LeBron James. He's the reason why this season is even happening. The second LeBron James feels uncomfortable in that bubble, this season falls apart for the NBA. Do you agree with that?
I mean, it was kind of like the Tony Kornheiser take I quoted.
Yeah, you quoted that. And well, you said if he gets it.
If he gets it, but I mean, either way, LeBron James is the key to keeping the motor running. He's the oil.
Like, his unwavering sort of support for continuing the season and keeping it going, I think powered through a lot of the last minute questioning by people like Kyrie Irving and stuff like that we talked about. That kept the PR machine going. Like, we will have a season. You know what I'm saying? So, but that being said, so NBA kicked off the scrimmages. We'll see how that plays out. We have a hiring update today. The New York Knicks, who we love to make fun of.
And we still are.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a good hire. So they hired Tom Thibodeau.
Not for him, for them.
Oh no, yeah. I was joking with my friend Kamal. It was like, look, this will take years off Tom Thibodeau's life. And he was like, yeah, but Tom Thibodeau takes years off the player's life. That's really what it's more so, because he runs the players hard. Look, the Knicks are a dumpster fire, but this is a good hire. You know, there were a couple of names thrown out there. There was him and Jason Kidd. Honestly, I think Jason Kidd would have been a better fit. I think Jason Kidd's gotten a bad rap. Yes, he's kind of a PR disaster sometimes, but on the court, his results and statistics, win-loss percentage, he's coached actually pretty well. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on Tibbs in general and the Knicks?
I think Tibbs is solid. I think he got a raw deal in Chicago and in Minnesota.
Now he had a lot of years in Chicago. You think he got a raw deal there?
I think he got more of a raw deal in Minnesota, but I think, I felt like, Chicago wasn't going to do any better, and they haven't. So, I felt like he was decent. I think the stuff with like, all the players in Chicago kind of messed him up though. And then the Derrick Rose thing was unfortunate too. But it's funny, like I was thinking of Jimmy, oh gosh, why can't I remember his name? This is the longest. The NBA has been gone for so long. I can't even remember. Jimmy Butler.
Oh, okay.
I think it's interesting that he ended up with both Jimmy Butler and Derrick Rose in Minnesota, if I'm remembering it correctly.
I feel like he engineered that, or at least, he was heavily involved in that. Yeah.
But first thing I thought was, man, poor guy.
What, him going to the Knicks?
Yeah, that organization is horrible.
Yeah, at least they're going to pay him.
That's people. The only reason to go there.
Yeah. No, look, if you're choosing coaches, he's one of the better coaches, point blank, period. So it's a good hire. Good hire. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that plays out. Other than that, NBA starts next week. Here we are, Saturday 25th. It will start this week, regular season. So we'll see how this goes.
So you were watching baseball this weekend?
I am watching it right now, actually.
Oh, look at you double dipping.
I know. I got an eye in the corner. My Nationals are playing the Yankees for the second game of the series. We lost the first game on Thursday, 23rd. It was rained out, but we were losing, so they called it. We're beating them 7-2 right now, though, the bottom of the sixth inning, so I'm good. But the Major League Baseball season in general has opened officially. So, not too much fallout yet. The games have, obviously no crowds in the stadiums. You got the teams, you got the managerial staffs, and so on. So far, so good.
And you can also have comfort in knowing that the Nationals all time have a better is up against the Yankees all time.
Absolutely. I've been to a couple of those games. We share a couple of Yankee friends, and they've been blowing up my phone since Wednesday when we first played. No, Thursday, excuse me. And now that we're up, they're just completely silent. They run their mouths all the time. It's ridiculous.
I mean, one game is the freaking Super Bowl for them, or the World Series for them. So,
And, Tom Thibodeau being hired by the Knicks is the best thing that ever happened to them because they have nothing else in sports to talk about. The Knicks is horrible. And the Giants, as we've talked about on this podcast, Sham, you know what I like? The Giants have been horrible since we started this podcast.
Works for me.
They were actually they were decent before that and had a nominal record of decency, including Super Bowls. But they have been absolutely trash, really, since we've started this podcast. You've never had to worry about them.
Yeah.
in our recaps.
And I never do.
Yeah. But my Nationals are pounding them. So, but in general, baseball started. Any Orioles news updates?
Only that they are trash still.
Did they?
And everybody talked about how great Chris Davis was in freaking spring training or whatever you call it these days. And he came out and was some complete and utter trash. I don't know why we keep hanging on to this clown. I don't think anybody will take him at this point. So I think we might even just be stuck with him.
That contract was massive, correct?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember him when we talked about how he was going up against, I forget who our pitcher was at the time, but it was an unstoppable force versus an immovable object because our pitcher had an ERA of infinity going up against Chris Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
Yeah,
anyway.
But they did beat the Red Sox today, so.
Oh, good. So they're 1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
They needed to beat somebody today because today they were wearing the Negro League shirt.
Yes. So
and people were talking about how they need to focus on winning instead of political issues, which mind-boggling. Like, imagine all these so-called baseball fans getting mad that they're wearing a shirt that's about, wait for it, baseball.
Correct.
But yeah, so I guess they shut them up for the day by winning 7-2.
And it's perfect. You talk about the Negro League. I mean, why did the Negro League even exist? Because black players were excluded from the major leagues.
Mm-hmm.
The Negro League is the baseball equivalent of Black Lives Matter, where people say, why are you in the Negro League? All leagues matter. Yeah. The Negro League existed because they couldn't get into the major leagues in the first place because of racism.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So Negro lives matter. NLM. Negro leagues matter as well.
Mm-hmm.
But so, and then you were talking about the Red Sox. So they put Black Lives Matter as a huge sign at Fenway. So we both are, happy about that, but cautiously optimistic will probably be an overstatement. Like, Boston is horribly racist.
And what was the first thing I said to you?
What's the over-under on the defacement?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the over-under?
I don't know. I guess it's still up there. I mean, I'm starting to think that in a lot of these places where they're putting the Black Lives Matter murals, that they have people heavily guarding them now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, defacement is defacement. I mean, an individual can't tear it down, but they can certainly deface it.
Well, they would have to get on the field to be able to do it.
Exactly.
So it's right over the dugout.
But in racism, where there's a will, there's a way. We've seen that. We've seen that. So we'll see. Speaking of racism and possible remedies to it. So switching sports. I'll start with some general news first, Sam. No, you know what? Let's stick with the specifics because we can get to the general after. So last week we were on the cusp of some news. We're in the DC area. We talked about the Redskins, the Washington Redskins in detail. We talked about their name. So we kind of laid off the breaking news last week about them retiring, quote unquote, the Redskins name because the story was still developing. We want to see where it would end up. Well, for now, we've seen where it ended up in the sense that the Washington Redskins retired the Redskins name. So they are now referred to as the Washington football team. And because they have not chosen a new nickname or chosen a new name, and because of branding and everything else, and the season is right on the verge, they're going to have to go with the Washington football team for the entire 2020 season. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that Dan Snyder didn't want to pay that guy for Red Tails. So,
hey, that court battle going to be a little bit uglier than we thought, or than I thought.
He said, "This guy has all the good names.
He's sitting on the names.
We're gonna have to wait for the time to pass where the names expire because he's not opening any businesses, and then we can pick one."
Hey man, I tried to cut him 100,000. He didn't take it. We gotta go to court. Okay, we're gonna be the Washington football team until we get this worked out. That's great. I didn't even think about it like that, but that's funny.
But look, it's fine. I mean, it's temporary. It's like Jordan when he came back with 45. Mm-hmm. You know, there'll be a few shirts and hats and stuff out there that says Washington football team for a year, and then next year they'll have a name and they'll be marketing their logo again. Well,
friends of ours who like soccer compare this to, they say, look, soccer teams don't have the, you know, quote unquote nicknames or what have you.
They sure don't. It's just a club.
Yeah. They're like, this actually gives an air of classiness and elegance to it. The Washington football team. Or if you want to soccer it up, the Washington football club.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, why don't we just roll with that for a little while until we can settle on something, or maybe forever if we can work it right. But so that's the big news there. So that's what they will be. So when you guys play them, when the Eagles play them, it'll be PHI versus WFT. And then I saw a couple of memes where people switched it and said WTF.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's up.
And when they play in Philly, it'll be in an empty stadium.
I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
So to that point, getting to basically our last story, the NFL announced yesterday, Sham, that, and by announced, they put the statement out and put the written statement for public consumption. The season will start on time. We talked about camp starting on time. They have canceled all the preseason games.
Which is dumb.
That is, yeah. See, this is what I have a problem with. They canceled all the preseason games, and they have trimmed all the camp rosters from 90 players to 80 players. So 10 slots are automatically cut off from each team. So that's 320 guys trying to play who are not even going to dream about making somebody's team or even a practice squad. That's fine. I mean, not fine, but reality. How do you make decisions besides draft picks on who's going to make your team without playing preseason games? I don't understand that.
You're going to do it off practice.
And since you can't, even before the pandemic, there's limited contact, and I say limited generously. How do you know? Do you know how horrible the product is going to be week one? It's going to be terrible. Like, nobody knows who's good and who's not. Which I guess will be interesting, but whatever. But so that's what NFL is right now. The cancel of the preseason is the big news, basically. That's a huge deal. That's TV contract money that's out the window. The players have agreed, though. The NFL put out the statement that the players have agreed, so the NFLPA is on board. They're going to start the season on time. So, you and I both, I'm really putting my flag in. They should not be starting the season the week after Labor Day when the virus is out here just affecting everything else. We haven't even talked about college football. Michigan State, the entire team is quarantined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You told me about that. So I think we both understand that college football should not be played. NFL should not be starting on time.
No. College football is probably going that way because they've already canceled games. So I mean, but the NFL is putting its flag in the ground with that statement. So did you see how Tom Brady trolled Tariq Hill?
Yes, I did. That was great. Can you lay it off for the listeners? That was great, though.
So Tariq Hill went on First Take and basically said that he talked about creating a dynasty off of one Super Bowl. Imagine that. And then he's quoted as saying, "Why not go for 7 rings? Right now we're just chasing Jordan. So that's what we do. So I'm going over 5 and I'm saying 7." So then Tom Brady is like, yeah, I agree. Let's go for 7.
Yeah.
Because he basically just disrespected Tom Brady. Like, because Tom Brady out here with 6 rings.
Like, dude, I have 6.
You said you're chasing Jordan.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Look, this ain't even a hot take. I've said it like on this show. Tariq Hill's trash in terms of as a human being. He's fast. He's a great football player, but after hearing the tape about what he did to his son, anybody that's trolling him, I'm there for that. Because, yeah, he's a trash human being. And good for Tom Brady. And you already know, I still think Tom Brady should have got more games for Spygate or whatever. Not Spygate, but Deflategate. I
think you trash if you let a 46-year-old Terrell Owens run a 4.4 40 on you.
Yo, T.O. looking like he wants to still play out. But T.O. always been in spectacular shape.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, how you let Tyreek Hill, how you let T.O. hang with you like that?
Yeah.
And beat you?
He 46. Yeah. He out here with a 4.440.
Correct. on Terrell Owens, Sham, are we doing sit-ups or push-ups in the driveway? On that note,
you can.
I might need to help my pandemic shape.
Yeah,
but that won't be reflected on the photo shoot that you guys will see. we have interesting work with angles and lighting, guys. So just know that pandemic's been nice to both of us.
Yep.
You got anything else?
We are moving on. Episode 74 is wrapped.
Shem, we've fallen off doing the jerseys and all that. I can't think of a 74, but I know 75. That's a big one. That's a 74, big anniversary.
We can't think of an offensive lineman real quick.
I mean, if so, it'll have to be after the show, and you guys will just see it as the title and be like, I don't understand why they title did that. They did that. And now you know if you hung around this long.
Joe Staley? No.
I mean, he's good. But yeah, it's great. I'm just so excited for all the stuff we're doing.
I think I am too.
You think? This brings me back to the first episode where, I'm excited about stuff and you're like, you guys will get it when you get it.
Exactly.
Guys, I'm looking out for you. I'm the guy that runs down Christmas Eve and tries to catch the parents wrapping the presents and just, tears them open right there on the spot. Boom.
And I'm the chick that appreciates sleep and will get them in the morning.
Yeah. In other words, I'm a Kirk box. You're not. Anyway, I'll shut up. You take us out.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Stop Playing Podcast. As always, you can check us out on any podcast platform available. And especially if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. Also, chop it up with us on Facebook and Instagram on at the Stop Playing Podcast and on Twitter at stop_playing pod. As always, no double dipping unless it's the podcast. Keep your chips on the plate and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Stop playing.